I mean, that is what it comes down to, is the desire to be told versus the willingness to do. Like, doubting everything is not a negative thing. It's a willingness to expand beyond who you are, what you think you know. An expansion is good. It's either going to confirm what you think, or it's going to open you up to see things differently. So Jacob and I were talking about this about last Tuesday or something like that. I don't know. Like, we share our testimony, we're sharing our information, right? Because it's what we do. We have to share our information. And there are going to be things in regards to that information that are relatable. Because we are all experiencing this thing called life in different phases. But one of the old stories that you will often find in the rooms is the whole starting your share off with, hey, I relate to what you said about that one thing and how it does this, this, and this, and blah, 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 and I can really relate to it. Well, that may be the case, but there's nothing you about that when you start off a share by telling somebody that you relate to what they said. The relation is supposed to make you aware. It brings you into this new moment of self-awareness. Not that you relate to something, but how. Which is then now, when you share your information, you're talking yourself through the breakthrough. Because you weren't aware of it before because there was no relation, right? But then you became aware of it, which is just the indicator to say, hey, look at this. How does this relate to you currently now, or where you came from, or how you're moving forward? And how can you use that to unfold into something greater? Like, you never really even have to tell the person that you related to what they said, or hey man, that was a really good share. When people would say that, I would be like, why? Why is it a good share? How did you relate to it? And so, the problem with life is that we continue to create what we relate to because we're not willing to do the work. So we just continue to surround ourselves with things that we relate to. Like people, the way they share, or how they make us feel, or what they do. And those things, we're like, oh yeah, we relate to that, so then we're attracted to it. But that's the sick attraction to the old story, which is why it just continues to be created into the future. It's like the indicator is just the beginning of the willingness to unfold into why does that relate to me? Why is the universe making that stick out of everything else for me to pay attention to? Is it so that I can tell other people that I paid attention to that? It's like we got to get beyond just spitting out the rhetoric But like, I mean, I want to push you to get raw, to get naked, to get in this really vulnerable place. So that you can be who you say you are. One of the things that I didn't hear from last Tuesday night, one piece of advice, like I heard all these great slogans almost, like I have them written down. I mean, there's a bunch of them, right? Be open. Vulnerable. Stop trying to say the right thing. Like these are all great things. But what I didn't hear was how. Like, every time you feel like if I'm talking to the 19-year-old Jason, it's like every time you feel like you're in a place where you can take a breath, you know, do more. And it's like audit yourself like all the fucking time. Like last Tuesday night, we were auditing each other, you know, how much time are you really spending doing some of these things? Have you been willing to audit your time and be accountable to it? Like, not like getting on a schedule, just seeing what you're spending your time on. Because you can sit there all damn day long and pressure wash houses. And you can check the boxes off, but none of that's doing anything for you if you're not present. It doesn't have the potential to do anything. And so you use like the surface slogans that are all right. It's like that's what I'm carrying into the future and all these different things, but it's like you're numbing yourself with the surface slogans versus getting authentic with yourself and being accountable with where you spend your time. There's things in life that, you know, you can't change, like going to work. But are you present while you're at work? Are you spending that time to do something greater than what you experienced yesterday? Or are you just getting up doing the same old fucking thing? Like, I didn't get a lot of work done today, but I got a lot of communication done with my wife, and like I haven't been doing that enough. Sharing with her about where I'm at. Like I share with you guys all the time. Share with Eric. Share with that Eric. Share with other people, Jake. But, I mean, I don't take the time to share some of this stuff with her. Well, it's kind of important that I do that. She's right there. If I'm not present in that relationship, that relationship is going to go away, or there's going to be a lot of resistance in it, kind of like Monday Mark. We create a resistance to these times that we're supposed to be getting vulnerable.
Sum it up, cut the bullshit, and just share your experience.
It's like oftentimes you don't even know that you've experienced it until you share it.
Yeah.
Even though you were there, even though you went through the process. That's why I talk so much. It's because until I put a frequency to it and put it out there, I don't have the ability to move beyond it. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. No one's going to do it for you. That's one thing I know for sure. I mean, parents will kind of try and do it for you. That creates a mess. But when it comes down to it, it's just about you doing it. I mean, you're young, dude. Can you imagine being my age, coming home, pressure washing a house all day?
It would be a lot more painful.
Maybe, maybe not. We all have to be willing to paint the fence.
Yeah.
It's just the work. But I'm talking like, add 20 years to your life. Let's say you pressure wash houses every day for the next 20 years. Where are you going to be in 20 years? What's going to make the difference?
Hopefully I wouldn't have to be pressure washing houses anymore. God.
Hopefully.
Yeah, dude.
But that's resistance to what is. I mean,
Pressure washing houses is not a bad gig, bro.
I don't like it.
There's always going to be something that is equivalent to pressure washing a house for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
That's one of the areas in life that is just the work. It's just work. I know guys that don't work. I know most everyone, well, I think everyone here, it wasn't working when they came here. And so whatever the work was, you viewed it as a blessing. And so what that tells me is that you're allowing the work to decide who you are. And so if you were doing the same work 20 years from now, then you would not be a success. You would not have value. You would not have certain things.
That's right.
Which means that you're the same person 20 years from now as you are now.
Yeah, that's what I probably tell myself.
But see, that's not true. How can you have 20 years of life experience, but the only experience that you equate to meaning anything is this section where you go make money, doing something?
Yeah, it's a big factor. I know for me. But I mean, dude, I find myself in the spot a lot of times where I get told to do stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So like I'm in that spot where like I'm like the Edo phase where you don't know what you're learning, like you're consciously unskilled in this, and there's like so much resistance there because I'm like, oh, what the fuck am I doing? I don't have a clue. And
See, but I don't think that's true. I think that...
And then I keep going, and then I get through it, and then it's like...
It's the things that you think you know is where the resistance is.
Well, yeah, and things like I don't like doing, like the pressure washing deal. And yeah.
Well, what about pressure washing don't you like doing?
Pretty much everything about it.
Well, okay, so there you go. Shallow. Shallow how? Not willing to go deep. You're not willing to deconstruct it.
Are you really going to make Jason deconstruct and spend all this time
No, I don't
doing
want
it
to.
for you?
No.
So just
What if, like,
Be
let's
yourself.
think this. Like, what if, like, you were the Picasso of pressure washing, and you were known all over the world for the ability to pressure wash, and your technique was taught all over the world. How would you look at it then?
I'd probably dig it because I'd assign some value to it, but I haven't assigning any value to that, separating it.
You're not assigning value to it, which means that you're not communicating to yourself about it, which means that you're not communicating to anyone else about it, anything. Because you only communicate things that you assign value to. Right? Because you only communicate to yourself about things that you assign value to. So then you're certainly only going to communicate to other people about things that you assign value to.
Yeah.
That's why talking about tools or talking about like physically what we did today over and over and over again is pointless because we weren't there. There's no value in it. And the thing is that everywhere we go, there we are. It doesn't matter if we're pressure washing, painting the fence, waxing the car, building a house, pressure washing the Sistine Chapel. I mean, I would think that you'd have to be a pretty damn good pressure washer to pressure wash the Sistine Chapel. Like, to get that contract, you'd have to have some skills.
You have to know what you're doing.
So here's something that maybe you can understand. Last week, one of the notes that I took out last Monday night, one of the key parts of that message was practice returning to the present moment. Are you doing that? Do you do that? I mean, that's a question for everybody. How do you do that?
I mean, that's what I've really been practicing, because I become aware of how often that I'm not in the present moment, so I've been really working on, refocusing on the present moment, surrendered action, right? Surrendering to the present moment. So for me, when I start to get somewhere in the past, or I'm trying to figure something out, or I don't want to be there, I'm resisting being in the moment, I breathe, I take a deep breath and just, go back to, who am I? Where am I? And once I ask myself those questions, I'm able to, most of the time, get back in the right moment, or back in the present moment. It's when I get in these places of in the future or in the past trying to figure it out that essentially I'm really forgetting who I am. So because to me, that's what it's all about, is being present in the moment. And that's one of the things that I've become aware of, that I'm, my programming is to not be in the moment. The old story is to not be in the moment. It's to be anywhere but in the moment. And I'm just trying to get to Friday. I'm just trying to get the fill in the blank. I just need to get this, fill in the blank. If I just get this, then all that prevents me from being in the moment. And that's how I've lived my life for most of my life. So that is something that, as we talk about, it's, you get the chatter in your head, and, do you have the willpower to push through it? And so I've been practicing doing that, and even stupid things like in the shower, right? My mind just wanders, and you would say, oh, who cares? For me, that's the old story. If I keep allowing my mind to wander even in the shower, it's going to wander other places, and so I've been focusing on that. What am I doing right now? And I feel like those little things, and like that awareness of carrying that through the day, that's what I try and do in the mornings. I do my meditation, and I focus on my breath and these things, and then I go through the day trying to keep that same awareness on whatever I'm doing.